When a woman stops trying, really stops trying, something remarkable happens. The energy shifts, the dynamic reverses, the man who once felt in control starts to notice, he starts to wonder, he starts to pursue. This is not manipulation, it's nature. Our men are not drawn to effort, they are drawn to energy. Effort looks like pursuit, but energy feels like peace. A woman who doesn't try isn't being passive, she's being powerful. Because her silence, her composure, her lack of need, all of it communicates one truth: I'm not chasing love, I embody it. When you stop performing for someone's approval, you become something far more dangerous: authentic. And authenticity is terrifying to those who are used to control. A man can sense it immediately. When a woman no longer orbits his attention, his ego feels it first. His curiosity grows, his sense of power shakes. Suddenly, he's no longer being admired, he's being tested. The truth is, men don't fall for women who try to earn love. They fall for women who expect it. Expectation is born from self-worth, and self-worth is built from boundaries, solitude, and the ability to walk away. A woman who doesn't try has already faced her greatest fear, being alone, and survived it. That's why her presence feels grounded. She doesn't need reassurance, she doesn't need validation, and she doesn't play games. She knows that connection built on effort collapses under pressure, but connection built on truth endures. Men are deeply instinctual creatures. They sense emotional security like animals sense calm in a storm. When she's still, when she's self-contained, it disarms him. He feels drawn to her mystery, her silence, her strength. He begins to question why he feels peace around her, even when she's not trying to please him.
That's the paradox. The more she tries, the less she is seen.
The moment she stops, the world begins to watch, not because she changed her looks, her voice, or her approach, but because she reclaimed her value. You see, attraction isn't about beauty, it's about presence. A woman who doesn't try stands differently. She listens with composure, speaks with clarity, and walks with certainty. She doesn't need to prove she's enough, she knows she is. Her worth doesn't fluctuate with someone else's attention. That stability, emotional, spiritual, psychological, is what men find intoxicating. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect, it's not distance, it's direction. She's not withholding love, she's reserving it for someone who can meet her standard. That's why she's unforgettable. Because most people chase, but she attracts. Most people talk, but she observes. Most people rush, she waits. And in that waiting, she wins. Stop trying, you stop negotiating your worth, you stop selling your peace for connection. Where you stop teaching others that love must be earned through effort. The man who's right for you doesn't need performance to see your value. He recognizes it in your stillness. He respects the quiet. Confidence that says, I don't chase, I choose. That's the kind of woman who shifts the balance of power. That's the kind of woman men remember, admire, and commit to. Not because she fought for their love, but because she stood so firmly in her own that they couldn't look away. Effortless confidence is not the loudest voice in the room, it's the calmest presence. It's not built through trying to appear powerful, it's born from knowing you already are. When a woman carries effortless confidence, she no longer needs to chase validation or prove her worth. She becomes the proof. Her energy, her silence, her ease, all communicate a truth that no amount of effort can fake. She knows who she is. The world is filled with people performing, trying to be liked, accepted, seen. But there's something magnetic about the one who doesn't perform at all. When you stop trying to impress, you begin to express. And expression, raw, natural, unapologetic, is infinitely more attractive than perfection. Because confidence isn't about control, it's about comfort. The comfort to exist without explanation, to speak without fear, and to walk away without guilt. Men are drawn to this energy because it carries stability. It tells them, I don't need you to define me. And that statement, And that statement, silent but powerful, creates instant respect. When you don't depend on someone to feel worthy, you change the entire dynamic. You're not chasing their approval, they're seeking your attention. You become the calm in their storm. You become the measure of peace they can't find elsewhere. Effortless confidence doesn't mean you don't care, it means you don't cling. You understand your presence is enough. You know that your time, your words, your energy are currencies of immense value, so you spend them wisely. You don't over-explain, you don't over-invest, and you don't overstay. You trust that the right people will recognize your worth without you having to announce it. The reason most people struggle with confidence is because they confuse it with noise. They think it's about dominance, bravado, or always being seen, but true confidence is quiet. It's the kind that stands in a room and doesn't compete. It's the kind that smiles at silence because it's not uncomfortable, it's in control. A confident woman doesn't shrink when she's misunderstood. She doesn't panic when someone pulls away. She doesn't beg to be chosen. She understands that what leaves her was never meant for her peace. Her power lies not in reaction, but in restraint. Effortless confidence is a result of alignment. It's the byproduct of a woman who has faced herself, her flaws, her fears, her failures, and chosen to rise anyway. That's why it feels unshakable. Because it's not rooted in appearance, validation, or status. It's rooted in truth. When a woman is comfortable in her own skin, the world feels it. Her presence commands without effort. Her eye contact lingers with intention. Her silence speaks louder than words. Ebrich men find this irresistible, not because she's trying to be desirable, but because she isn't. Desire built on effort fades. Desire built on energy endures. The woman who doesn't try to be confident is. She doesn't seek the spotlight. It finds her. She doesn't chase attention. It gravitates toward her. Because her value is self-assured, her boundaries are firm, and her peace is non-negotiable. Effortless confidence means you no longer prove, you embody. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer ask to be seen, you shine. That's the kind of confidence that turns heads without saying a word. It's not what she wears or how she looks, it's what she knows. And what she knows is this: when you own your worth, the world adjusts to your energy. Scarcity of attention is the quiet power that separates the admired from the ignored. In a world where everyone is begging to be noticed, the one who withholds attention becomes the one who commands it. When your focus is rare, it becomes valuable. And that's the truth most people never learn. Your attention is currency. The more you spend it on everything and everyone, the less it's worth. A woman who understands the scarcity of her attention is untouchable. She knows her presence carries weight, so she doesn't give it away cheaply. She's selective, not because she's arrogant, but because she respects her own energy. Every glance, every reply, every conversation, it all has meaning. She doesn't scatter it, she directs it with precision, and that precision creates desire. Ebrich men are instinctively drawn to what they cannot easily access. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about being hard to replace. When your attention is rare, it forces others to rise to the level of effort that earns it. You teach them how to treat you not through your words, but through what you withhold. Most people think connection is built through constant communication, but real connection is built through quality attention. When you give your energy to everyone, you dilute its power. But when you reserve it for what truly matters, your silence becomes golden and your presence becomes magnetic. The man who once took your messages for granted begins to check his phone more often. The one who used to ignore your worth now feels the weight of your absence. Scarcity of attention creates reflection. It forces others to evaluate their place in your life. It turns your no into a boundary and your yes into a privilege. That's how power shifts, not through argument or control, but through disciplined focus. There's a reason why peace is so attractive. because peace is rare, and the woman who guards her peace guards her value. She doesn't waste energy convincing anyone to see her worth. She lets distance do the talking. Her restraint speaks louder than her words ever could. This isn't indifference, it's mastery. It's understanding that attention given to the wrong person is energy stolen from your purpose. It's realizing that people treat what's abundant as disposable. So she becomes intentional, measured. She doesn't rush to reply. She doesn't chase closure. She doesn't entertain confusion. She values her mental clarity too much to trade it for chaos. A woman who makes her attention scarce becomes a mirror. See, Brewer, she reflects truth back at those around her. The ones who truly value her will make effort to keep her attention. Brewer, the ones who don't, will fade into silence. That's the beauty of it, scarcity. It filters everything that noise cannot. You stop needing to explain yourself because your silence does it for you. You stop proving your worth because your absence makes it obvious. When a man realizes he no longer has constant access to your time, your thoughts, or your energy, something in him awakens. He begins to feel the contrast, what it's like to have your warmth and what it's like to lose it. That gap, that space, is where attraction deepens. It's in the silence between your words, the pauses between your replies, that his interest grows roots. But the secret is this: you don't do it to manipulate. You do it to protect your peace. Because love built on constant effort and overexposure eventually burns out. Love built on respect and balance thrives. Scarcity of attention reminds the world that your energy is not public property. It's a privilege. When you make it rare, it becomes sacred. When you make it sacred, it becomes unforgettable. People chase what they can't easily reach. But the woman who understands her worth doesn't run. She simply stands still and lets the wrong ones eliminate themselves. Her silence doesn't punish, it purifies, it removes the unworthy and attracts the aligned. Self-validation is the foundation of unshakable confidence. It's the moment a woman stops waiting for someone else to tell her she's enough and starts knowing it herself. It's the quiet shift from dependence to self-assurance. The courage to stand by your choices, even when they're misunderstood. It's trusting your intuition more than the opinions of people who don't live your life. The truth is, when you don't validate yourself, you hand over the remote control of your emotions. You allow others to dictate when you feel enough. But when you anchor your worth internally, no one's rejection can destabilize you. You become self-contained. Your peace no longer depends on being accepted, loved, or admired. You move differently, you speak differently, and you stop begging for energy that you can now generate from within. Men are magnetically drawn to women who don't need validation because that kind of emotional independence is rare. It communicates strength, balance, and certainty. When you know who you are, you stop overreacting to how others treat you. You respond with calm instead of chaos, and that calm is intoxicating. A man feels safe in the presence of a woman who validates herself because she isn't ruled by insecurity. She doesn't drain, she grounds. Think about it. When someone doesn't need anything from you, you respect them more. That's the same principle that governs attraction. Neediness repels, self-validation attracts. Because the woman who validates herself becomes whole. She doesn't demand completion from another person. She invites alignment. This kind of self-assurance isn't built overnight. It's forged through solitude, through heartbreak, through moments of doubt where you choose to lift yourself instead of waiting for someone to do it for you. It's built when you face rejection and realize it doesn't define you. When you look in the mirror and understand that nothing external can add to or subtract from what's already complete within. Self-validation is an act of rebellion in a world that profits from your insecurity. Everything around you tries to convince you that you need more attention, more approval, more confirmation. But the woman who validates herself is no longer for sale. She's no longer auditioning for love or chasing belonging. She becomes the standard. Ebri, You know you've reached self-validation when silence doesn't scare you anymore, when you can spend time alone and feel full, not empty. When you stop explaining your boundaries, when you stop apologizing for being misunderstood, you become your own mirror, your own reassurance, your own home. That's when you become magnetic, not because you're trying to impress, but because your energy radiates certainty. People feel it, they sense your peace and want to be near it. You don't chase respect, you command it. You don't demand love, you inspire it. Because you've already given yourself everything you used to beg for. Self-validation transforms how you show up in relationships. You no longer seek love to feel whole. You share love because you are whole. The highest form of emotional maturity. To know that your worth is constant, independent of circumstance, untouched by opinion. So stop asking others to mirror back your value. You are the mirror. Hebrew, stop looking for external applause to confirm your progress. You are the proof. Stop questioning if you're enough for them. Ask instead if they are enough for your peace. When you validate yourself, everything changes. You stop shrinking to fit in rooms not meant for you. You stop overgiving to earn love. You stop explaining your boundaries to people who benefit from breaking them. You begin to move through the world like someone who remembers who she is, and that memory alone makes you unstoppable. Self-validation is not loud, it's not boastful, it's not theatrical. It's quiet power. It's the calm heartbeat of a woman who knows her value, not because the world told her, but because she told herself. Power in stillness is one of the most misunderstood strengths a woman can possess. In a world obsessed with reaction, noise, and constant motion, stillness feels radical. But that's where true control lives, not in the chaos of proving yourself, but in the calm of knowing you don't need to. When a woman masters stillness, she's no longer driven by walk away. It's easy to beg, it's divine to release. That's what separates the reactive from the refined. When you learn the power of stillness, you stop mistaking movement for progress. You stop believing that every situation requires your response. You start realizing that energy conserved is energy multiplied, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Let the silence speak, let time reveal, let peace do the work. Men feel the difference between a woman who reacts out of emotion and one who moves from composure. The first feeds his ego, the second challenges his spirit. When you become still, you shift the dynamic entirely. You teach him that access to your peace is a privilege, not a right. You show him that your energy cannot be demanded, it must be earned. Stillness is self-respect in its highest form. It's the declaration, I won't fight for my worth. It's the maturity to understand that your silence carries a message no argument ever could. And that message is simple. I'm not desperate to be understood. I'm at peace with being misunderstood. Power in stillness also comes from trust. Trust in yourself, in timing, in the natural unfolding of truth. It's knowing that the right connections don't require force, and the right people never demand chaos. It's understanding that what is meant for you will find you, not because you chase it, but because you've made space for it through calm. Ibra stillness doesn't mean passivity, it's strategy. It's waiting without wasting. It's observing without absorbing. It's responding when it matters and remaining quiet when it doesn't. The woman who learns this becomes unshakable. People can misjudge her silence, project their insecurity onto her, or try to provoke her, but she stays centered, because her validation no longer lives outside of her. Breathe. You see, stillness is magnetic. People lean in to hear what the calm person might say next. In a room full of noise, the one who's silent holds the most gravity. Her energy speaks before her words ever do. Her restraint creates curiosity. Her peace becomes her allure. Power in stillness is not about doing nothing. It's about doing less of what drains you. It's choosing clarity over chaos, presence over panic, grace over reaction. It's knowing that everything doesn't need your energy and that peace is a weapon sharper than pride. The woman who learns to be still learns to lead her life with purpose, not pressure. She no longer chases answers, they arrive. She no longer seeks revenge, karma handles that. She no longer needs attention, her aura draws it. Effortless stillness refines you, it filters your surroundings, clarifies your thoughts, and amplifies your strength. You stop needing closure because silence is closure. You stop needing approval because peace is approval. You stop needing validation because truth is validation. And that's why power in stillness is unmatched, because it's born from control over the self, and that is the greatest form of do. Minance, there is. When you master stillness, you stop being reactive. You become radiant. You stop chasing outcomes. You attract alignment. You stop explaining your worth, you embody it. Because power in stillness isn't about silence, it's about sovereignty. It's about knowing that peace isn't weakness, it's strength refined, wisdom earned, and control perfected. And the moment you realize that, you'll understand, stillness isn't the absence of power.